is going to be dealing with the autonomic nervous system. Now, this time, so basically if we think about what we've talked about so far, we've talked about the spinal cord and the spinal nerves, stuff that exited from the spinal cord and came around to the periphery of the body. Then we moved into the brain and the cranial nerves, where we had it here and then the exit to this part of the body. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to deal with what has to take place with our organs. Now, what we're going to find is that our organs, they're going to be innervated. But here's the other part. The organs can also be affected by the hormones. So these two systems, once again, that run the body, the nervous system and the endocrine system, these two systems are now going to be what operates this internal portion. So everything we're going to talk about in this chapter is referring to what is on the inside. Because anytime we hear the term viscera, viscera lets us know organs. The autonomic self, whenever you hear the term auto, okay, it's doing something by itself. So this system, the ANS, we don't control it. Do we affect it? Yes. But do we control it? No. Yes. Regulates life processes. I can't stress that enough. All right? This is going to be the system that is going to be functioning based on signals that it receives to make sure our heart beats, the vessels dilate and constrict, that we have digestion, even though that's a little bit of an iffy one. Okay, we're going to talk about that. That our osmotic pressure is correct, that our ion pressures are correct, stuff that you don't have to think about. Because if we had to think about it, chances are we wouldn't keep up with it. So this is our homeostasis, maintaining that internal environment. Now, in this system, the autonomic nervous system, we're going to be dealing with that part of fight or flight. Ever heard of that? Okay? How do we kind of know that? What does it do to us? Okay, so we can. Yeah, so it's going to be that system that is literally getting us ready to fight or turn around and run. Okay, the fight or flight. So, one of the things that, this researcher found is that animals, because all animals have this, okay, some of them, now, for us, okay, as humans, the abilities of the autonomic nervous system have been tamped down, okay? But for other animals, the autonomic nervous system is extremely well functioning, okay? Once you have to live out in the wild and fight a predator, all right? For us, we no longer have to fight that saber-toothed tiger, all right? So we're pretty much in if you want to call it this, a civilized society. So, the autonomic nervous system, it is going to control glands. Now, which glands do you think, or which glands come to mind?
Pituitary.
Pituitary. All right. It'll do stuff to the sweat and the oil glands, but that's really not like, well, I don't know, the sweat could be. But you know what I'm saying, okay? It's going to have a big effect on the endocrine system. It will affect cardiac muscle, but it will not control it. It will affect it, but once we get to the heart, you're going to find out how the heart isn't responsible for its own heartbeat. The autonomic nervous system will affect that, but we'll get into that in that chapter. And then, of course, our smooth muscle. Now remember, smooth muscle. What comes to mind when you hear smooth muscle? Organs. Anything else? Because I find that a lot of times once we get into some of these topics and we start identifying skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, smooth muscle, we forget that, for example, smooth muscle is found with stuff such as our hair. That pilo erector muscle. Y'all ever get goosebumps? There you go. All right, that's the autonomic nervous system. So it's like, okay, wait a minute, it's more than just simply my stomach or my bladder or my intestines. All right? So we call this the visceral motor system. You might also see it this way. The primary organs, those viscera, in our thoracic and our abdominal cavities. We have some structures in the body wall. Think about cutaneous blood vessels, capillaries, okay? Sweat glands. Well, if you kind of get all, like the fight or flight, or whatever, most of the time you're going to sweat. Ha-ha! Piloerector muscles, okay? It's just really cool, okay? When we talk about it, trust me, it's kind of cool.
With the sweat glands, can't you just think I know it's controlled by can you just kind of think of the pituitary gland in a way, like kind of it's all connected to that?
Yeah, because, if you think about what this system is going to do, this system, because it basically either ramps up or makes stuff calm down, okay? So if you think about ramping up, increase in heart rate, increase in blood pressure, increase in respiration rate, one thing that usually comes along with that is sweating. Yeah. So, the actions are involuntary. Like I said, we're not going to be aware of this. However, we're going to be able to affect it. Our higher order thinking will affect this. What do I mean by that? And if we think about anxiety, okay, can you think of anything that might come along with that for being anxious?
I said hyper.
Sweating? Well, if it's higher order thinking, the higher order thinking is stuff like us being able to put emotion to something. So, if that's the case, okay, so this means something such as fear, love. These things are going to be able to have an effect, but it's not going to control it. Because if you think about what the system's going to do, and if you have fear, okay, chances are you've got a lot of other things going on, but that's coming from a higher order area. But this control for the autonomic nervous system is going to be dependent on, for the most part, the brain stem and then the endocrine system. So
does it work both ways then? Kind of can like a person sort of affect the A and the S?
yeah.
I like.
So like if you have a person that's like really, really anxious, okay, you know, worry about everything. Like, oh Lord, what am I going to wear today? Oh Lord, what am I going to have for breakfast? Oh man, do I have to go to her class? I can't go to her class. Please don't make me go to her class today. So, you know, all these things, okay, are going to affect that system. Because if you have those kind of thoughts, well, you're getting probably an increase in your respiration rate, increase in your heart rate, digestion might not be as good, might have some stomach upset. You see what I'm saying?
Is there hormones that is like in hormones?
The hormones. Now, when we get into the endocrine system, we're going to find out that when people are like that, like if they're constantly anxious, okay, that sort of thing, their body is releasing these chemicals, most of it that we know of as adrenaline, okay, and that will have an effect on these organs. So it becomes like and see the problem with that, when you get involved with the endocrine system, those chemicals do not get put out of the body quickly. Those chemicals remain behind and they last for quite a while, and if those chemicals are present, they can go to the target organs and have an effect. So that's why it's easy, you know, it's easy to get ramped up, okay? You know, like, I don't know, like this morning, driving into work, and, okay, y'all ever been in a situation where you're in the right lane, okay? Because you know that if I try to keep coming up on this side or coming up on this side, I eventually got to get in the right lane. All right, everybody with me? Okay? Now, if I've been in the right lane for a mile, and then you go speed up beside me and try to get in front, no. Okay? And so you know how you're like, oh no, you're not getting in front of me, no. You know, so you know it's easy to get ramped up, okay? But then what do you got to do? Next thing you got to calm down. You know, so you're just like all this stuff, you know. So it's because the chemical, believe it or not, that got produced from the endocrine system doesn't get out of the body quickly. It stays in there for a while. So it takes longer to calm down than it does to get ramped up. So when we look at this system, now, the viscera, all right, although we do not have to totally depend on the autonomic nervous system, what we do need the autonomic nervous system to do is to make sure that these organs function to meet my body's demands. Now, what does that mean? All right.